Hello. So after going through the department budget exercise in chapter 5, I definitely um, felt it was a great experience. It kind of got the math gears in my brain working again. It's been a little while since I've done math kind of like this for an assignment. So it was a really interesting experience for me, very challenging. So I'll take you through what I did. So I first started following the instructions on page, or the suggestions on page 110, um, by basically going through and figuring out the new salaries after the raise of 1.5%. So I went through and as you can see in the work that I did here, I took each salary and I multiplied it by 0.015 for the 1.5%, and after that I ended up with a new salary after the raise for each position. Um, so as you can see, the promotion manager ended up with a salary of $71,050. The assistant promotion manager ended up with a salary of $50,750. The graphic artist ended up with a salary of $35,525. The webmaster had a total of $45,675. And the art director had a salary of $30,450, and the secretary had a total of $25,375. So after that, I added up all of these new salaries with a raise and got a total of $263,825. So after that, I moved on and accounted for inflation, which of course only affected the expenses, not the salaries. So I took each original expense and I multiplied it by 0.01 in order to get the new expenses for each department while accounting for inflation. So after doing that math, I got a expense of $10,010 for consumables and supplies. I got a total of $50,050 for publicity. Advertising came in with $500,500. And then software hardware upgrades had $30,030. Travel had $10,010, and entertainment had $1,501.50. So after that, I added up all the new expenses and got a total of $602,101.50. So after that, I added up the total salaries and the total expenses, accounting for both raises and inflation, and I got a total of $865,926.50. So this is the budget as it stands before making the cuts. So I knew I needed to get down to $750,000 for my new budget. So what I did initially was subtract the new budget from the old budget to figure out how much money in total I needed to get rid of, I needed to cut. So that left me with $115,926.50. So I knew that I needed to get a certain amount of money overall from the expenses. So what I ended up doing was I took the total amount of money that I needed to get rid of, which was $115,926.50, and I divided that by 6 because that was the number of departments that I could make cuts from. So after that, I got a total of $19,321.83. So that was roughly how much each department needed to have cut in order to reach this total amount. And of course, I knew I couldn't do that flatly across all of them because some departments, such as advertising, had a far greater number, had a far greater budget, basically, than entertainment did at $1,500. $500,000 compared to $1,500 is a giant leap. So I knew I couldn't take $19,000 away from each of those. That just wouldn't be possible. So I knew that I needed to take a lot more away from the bigger departments. So what I did was, here you can see the total amount of money that I took, and go ahead and just put that there, that I took from each department in the end. So as you can see, the bigger departments such as publicity and advertising, they got bigger chunks taken out of them because they could afford it. And I'll just go through the math and show you what I did for each one, tell you why. So I started with the biggest one, which was advertising. And so I decided that I needed to take a pretty significant chunk of advertising. It seemed a little much to begin with, and it definitely had the most to lose as opposed to some that didn't have much of a budget to begin with. So, that big of an expense to begin with. So I ended up taking about $82,426.50 away from the advertising department, which left them with a budget of $427,500. And to me, that just made the most sense because it did seem a bit extra having that big of a budget for your own advertising, especially since this is supposed to be a top 25 station, and they're already relevant. They don't necessarily need to continuously put their name out there to that degree. So I felt like it was justified to take that much away. So then we came to publicity, which was a total expense of $50,050, and I ended up taking away $25,000 from that, which is about half, of course. But as I said, it's already a top 25 station, so they can afford to not, I feel like, be as, putting themselves out there as much, because they're already really well respected, it seems. So that left them with a total expense of $25,050. So after that, we moved down to software and hardware upgrades. Now, it has a pretty big expense to begin with, and to me, I feel like software and hardware, the equipment is really the heart of everything. Nothing can function if your equipment isn't working. So I didn't think it was logical to really cut too much out of that part of the budget. So I only took about $5,000 from that, which still left them with $25,030. Just despite the fact that they had a lot that could be taken away, I didn't think it was logical to do that, because that's the equipment, the software, the hardware is really the backbone, the foundation of the station. So it just wouldn't make sense to not have that be top quality, take money away from that. So anyway, we went down to travel after that, and being as big of a station, a top 25 station, probably in a really big market, I felt like we needed to have a lot of travel, to go out and do remotes, to go and talk to people, meet people, go to meetings, all that good stuff, meet with clients. So I thought it was pretty important to keep the travel budget, fairly high. So I only took away $3,000, which left it with $7,010. So after that, entertainment was a pretty small expense to begin with. Couldn't take too much away from that because there would be nothing left. And I thought it was still important to keep. So I only took about $500 away from that, leaving it with $1,001.50. So as you can see here, I kind of worked back from, this is the amount that I need to take away in total. And each time that I took away a specific amount from each department's expenses, I just subtracted it from this total amount that I needed to get rid of. So I subtracted the $82,426.50 from advertising, And then from that total, I subtracted the $25,000 from publicity. Then with that next total, I subtracted the $5,000 from software and hardware upgrades. After that, I subtracted the $3,000 from travel, and then I subtracted the $500 from entertainment, and that left me with zero, which meant that I had taken the exact amount away that I needed to from the former budget in order to reach $750,000. So yeah, it was very tedious and very made you think a lot going through this exercise. About what's important at a station and what if you were ever put in this position, what would you do? It's a very tough decision, and you really have to kind of weigh everything, what matters more, and really look at where you are as a station, what you can afford to lose. Like I said, a top 25 station is already pretty big. They don't necessarily need to have their name out there as much. I mean, there is something to be said for continuing to put your image out there and keep it, relevant and staying in people's minds. But if you're already that big, there's not as much of a need, for advertising and publicity to really get out there because you're not trying to, work your way up. You're already there. So I think what really matters is maintaining, your status, keeping your equipment running, continuing to travel, to do remotes, to talk to people, to drive the news truck around, all that good stuff, be able to stay on the move. And that stuff I think matters a lot more than maintaining rather than the building of your brand. And of course it's still relevant, but I think it matters less once you get to that level. So yeah, that's what I did for the department budget exercise. And as I said before, yeah, here's listed, all the amount that I took from each expense. So a very eye-opening experience for sure. So I really enjoyed this exercise. I hope you like the way I got to my new budget.